Hi class, welcome to Course 3, Lesson 46. Today we are going to multiply and divide with scientific notation. So you'll have problems that deal with scientific notation, and this is just a recall. Remember from Lesson 28 when we talked about scientific notation. An example would be 1.9 times 10 to the 5th. Remember that there can only be one non-zero digit before the decimal. Okay, so it can only be a digit from 1 through 9. And there can be as many digits following or in the decimal places, that's fine. But 1 through 9 before the decimal, that's it. And it's always times the power of 10. Okay, so we can make really large numbers and really small numbers very easy to do calculations with. And so that's what we're going to learn today. When you multiply, so if they give you, or if you have two numbers that are in scientific notation, do not expand. Okay, I'm going to write that right here. Do not expand. Put that in your notes. Put that in bold print. You are not going to tell me what these are in standard form and then multiply them. We are going to use the commutative and associative properties. So we're going to use the commutative and associative properties to rewrite this. So we are going to pair up the number part. We're going to write that as 1.2 times 3, and that's going to be times 10 to the 3rd times 10 to the 11th. Okay, so I just grouped this so that we can multiply the numbers together, and then we can multiply the powers of 10. So 3 times 1.2 is really easy to do. That's 3.6. And then 10 to the 3rd times 10 to the 11th. Remember that when your bases are the same, you add the exponents. So that's going to be times 10 to the 3rd plus the 11 power. So your answer is 3.6 times 10 to the 14th. That's it. We'll do the division and then I'll make a note for you. Same thing here. We're going to group the numbers. We're going to kind of just do this. We're going to go, we're going to divide it right down the middle and create two separate division problems. This is 4.8 divided by 2.4 and 10 to the 7th power divided by 10 to the 4th. Okay, so we're going to do this division here. 2.4 goes into 4.8. If I move the decimal over and I move this decimal over, I get the number 2. And remember that when you divide, you like bases, you subtract the exponents, so you're going to have 7 minus 4. So the answer here is 2 times 10 to the 3rd power. Now these are still in scientific notation. If they asked you for standard form, you would still do the same process, but then you would move the decimal accordingly. Now, notice that the number part, these are still proper form, right? And what I mean by proper form is this. There is one non-zero digit in front of the decimal, and it is times the power of 10. So that's okay. But sometimes your product or your quotient doesn't come out to be in proper form, so we need to fix that. So that's the problem we're going to do now. And this will work the same if this were a division problem. Okay, so again, use the commutative and associative properties. We're going to take the numbers times the numbers and take the powers of 10 times the powers of 10. And so this we need to work out. 3.5 times 4. 1.2 one decimal place we get the number 14, and this over here is 10 to the 8th plus 5, which is 10 to the 13th. So our answer at this point is 14 times 10 to the 13th. But this is not proper form. There are 2 digits in front of the decimal. Now, it could also happen that there is only a 0 in front of the decimal. Okay? If you end up with a number like 0.2, that's not right. So you'd have to fix it. Okay? So now what do? We're going to write this so that it is in the proper form. We're going to take the 14 and we're going to write it so that we have one decimal in there. And that's the only place we can put the decimal is in between the 1 and the 4, so that we have one non-zero digit in front of the decimal. Okay, but in order to do that, I need to multiply that times the power of 10, so that when I take 1.4, I get 14. So 1.4 times what power of 10 will move the decimal one place over to get 14? It'd be a power of 1. But it's still times 10 to the 13th power. And so then we need to combine these so that we have 1.4 times 10 to the 14th power. Okay, this can be really tricky because there's a lot of things that you have to remember. You have to remember to multiply numbers times numbers, multiply the powers of 10, so then you add the exponents, and then when you finally get an answer, you have to verify that you're in proper form for scientific notation. Okay, so lot to remember. Hopefully you take good notes. Double check your answers in scientific notation always. Okay, let me know if you have questions. I'll be more than happy to give you a hand. Otherwise, I'll see you in class.